This is not a toothbrush.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and I'm smiling a lot. I smile a lot, but I'm smiling today because this is the product review I thought I'd actually never do. I got a package from Spray Gunner the other day, and you may have seen the video already. I don't know when it's going to drop, but we got a new spray booth that I think is really, really cool and much better than the buster ass one I got over here. But in the box there was a package and it looked like a toothbrush, and I was like, what is this? This is a gag joke, and I just kind of put it off to the side. And a couple weeks later I was looking at it, I was like, you know what? I bet you I could trim my models with this thing. And sure enough, it looks like that is the exact hobby purpose for the Mr. Hobby G-Tool Cordless Polisher Pro. Here it is over on Spray Gunner's website. Like I said, it looks like a toothbrush, and believe it or not, the only thing I can actually make out on the packaging is under the usage and safety precautions. The very first thing it says is this is not an electric toothbrush. So there you go. I did my due diligence. I have told you this. There's a bunch of precautions on here, but basically from what I can tell, hobbyists use this. It is out of Japan, and hobbyists use this over there for their Gundam figures, for Gunpla and stuff, which I had never heard of, honestly. I mean, I've used the Dremel in the past for stuff like this, and, you know, it was mixed results, I'll be quite honest, because you get grinding on resin and plastic and it just gouges it out. But this seems to be a little bit different, and I've played around with it already, so I can't show you it's new and packaged. But long story short, it's $30 over here, and they do sell the separate sticky cleaning filter things here. It's waterproof paper, and it just sticks on the head of this tool here. It's kind of crazy, but I've been playing around with this thing for a couple of hours now, and yeah, I haven't had any rip, I haven't any tear, and I haven't had any fly off. So whatever the sticky stuff is, it's pretty darn strong. So here it is right here. It is not a toothbrush. I swear, not a toothbrush. Don't use it. Don't put it in your mouth. It may be a toothbrush. I don't know. It's got a different head right there with this little different oscillator thing. So I don't know. It's adapted over. Who knows? What does matter is that it's kind of been purposed or repurposed for I guess the hobby. It's powered by 2 AA batteries. It's actually pretty strong once you get in here and get it going. To change the heads, like I said, you just rip off this little tab right here, and it's got some holes on it, and it comes with a bunch of it comes with 1,000 grit, 800 grit, and 600 grit little sticky pads right here. And the only way I've been able to keep track of these is to put it back on this one, just to kind of see what's up right there. But it's very easy to apply. You just take the fresh one off and put it right on here. Now, like I said, I've used Dremels in the past. I wasn't super happy with them. It's good for cutting through like flash and burrs, but when you get to the actual exposed surface of your model, sometimes that can be very bad. So let's just talk about something very practical to use. We've all got Space Marines. They've all got those crazy mold lines across their shoulder pads. Right here is one of them from the Shadow Spear. And you can see where it's got, well, I've shaved it down a little bit, but you know, it's still visible somewhat. Now, if you paint it, it'll probably be fine. But just to show you how easy this is to do with the 1,000 grit, so this is going to be very, very mild, is just go over the surface and lightly move the head back and forth. And then what you see there, it's actually not that big of a deal, believe it or not. We're just going to take a little brush, and it is super duper smooth to the surface. It looks like it's marred, but believe me, it is not. It's super smooth, and it's 100% flush right there to the touch. So that's kind of cool. And then I started looking at bigger and kind of chunkier. Now, I won't lie to you, this is not going to get in all these areas, like some of these areas behind feet and things like that. It's not meant for that. So you're still going to have to use, you know, your GW seam scraper or your X-Acto blade to get in there. But it's areas like this, you know, like these, first of all, big chunks, and then these mold lines here are easy to deal with, and I'll show you how. So I switched out my sanding pad or polishing pad for a big 400 grit one, and we're gonna go after that piston burr right there. So we're just gonna go in nice and flush and just gently start grinding away. Now, yes, you know what? I could, if I really wanted to, take the X-Acto blade and it would make this a lot faster, but I just wanted to show you how thick this can cut through. And look at that right there, it grinded it all the way down. But there's still a mold line, but we're not going to use it for this. We're going to switch back to our 1000 grit and polish it out. So we've got our 1000 grit here, and we're just going to go in and gently work that angle a little bit, get around the top right there on that other piston where that mold line was, very gently. Now I'm kind of showing you on the camera, so it's a little bit harder to use than if I just had my head over top of this and I was able to really just kind of focus in on it. But you get the idea. This thing probably a little bit more simpler than I'm showing. Once you get it to the point, like in 2 seconds there, that you feel like you're good, grab your brush and get all your plastic dust off, and look at that nice and smooth surface right there. Okay, I missed a spot up in there, but like I said, just getting it so you can see it on camera, it takes a little bit more effort than if I was just able to put my head over top of this and really get in there and nug it out, so to speak. But amazing stuff. Now, why the 400 grit is important, I'm about to show you. One of the banes of my hobby existence has always been slip molds from Forge World, and they can be as small as a 1/16 of an inch, which you see right here, or much larger in some cases from Forge World. I've had Sakarans with much deeper. Actually, this is probably less than a 1/16 of an inch right here. I've seen 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch gap, and it's incredibly ridiculous to try to fix. And you just have to sit there and scrape it down and basically plane it over and over and over until you get it done. And it's extremely frustrating. And there's never been a safe for resin alternative that I've found. Like I said, Dremels just gouge it out and then you're screwed. So this was actually really cool to see. So I've fired up. I've got a 600 grit on here. I thought we had 400, but we have 600. It's 600, 800, and 1000. And all I'm going to do is turn this on. And now I should be wearing a face mask, so I'm going to try to kind of distance myself back here so I'm not breathing in as much of this resin dust, which you should not do. Do not do this. But I'm just going to gently press down, and this thing is just eating up that slip fall. It's crazy how it's just attacking it and just getting in there and really making a mockery of it, but not gouging out the material, the resin for Forge World, or anything like that. And that's the key here, because you spend so much money on these kits, and sometimes they come with these sometimes very exposed slip lines, and sometimes mission critical slip lines, like underneath in these gaps where you don't have it so it actually attaches okay. So it's very frustrating. So all I'm doing here is just hitting this up nice and neat, kind of following along, and I'll come back and, oops, I almost got that stud, and I'll come back and finish that up. But what I want to do is get a nice solid pass of this across all these lines, and then I'm going to come back with my 1000 grit and polish it all out. Now I've got my 1000 grit on here, stuck back on. I'm going to hit the on button, and we're just going to town, just polishing out all the surface area that I just hit with that 600 grit, and going across right here on the rounded surface just to go back. Wow, look at that, it just transformed it from slightly kind of tore up to perfectly flush. I'm going over all this area right here, trying not to hit the nubs of the little rivets right there. And I think just, it's hard to see with all this resin dust, but what I'm trying to do, and again, sometimes this is a little hard to show you with the trying not to breathe. Ooh, look at all that resin dust. Trying not to breathe that in, but also trying to look through the video screen and do all this and have perfect pressure on the tool itself. And I missed a little bit right there, but you can definitely tell where it did work. And that has a lot to do with me trying to protect myself from the resin dust, but also not trying to press down as hard as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fix that off camera real quick and show you that it actually works, because that is very minute. Well, I guess it just goes to show you sometimes it doesn't matter how good the tool is, it's all in how you use it. So like I said, about a minute later we were able to just clean that up with that 400 grit, just applying the right pressure and hitting the right angles. It was very easy to do, and then we went back and polished it up with that 1000 grit. So very, very cool little tool here, and I know I'm going to be using it. What I thought was a gag gift, I'm definitely going to be adding it to my hobby toolbox, especially for these larger forge roll kits, and even some of the smaller stuff that has those slip gaps on it, which does tend to happen from time to time. So that is about it for this one. Would definitely recommend stocking up on the extra pads if you have a rather large project or you're starting to get low, because I could see where you might want to switch some of these out. Like, it's already wearing off right there just from doing that one little section, polishing it up right there. So I could see where with a larger kit like this from Forge World, you would probably blow through a whole thing of these polishing tabs right here. So like I said, that's it for this one, y'all. Thanks for checking it out very much for watching the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.